Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I question sometimes why we do this.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss The Curse of the Queerwolf? Which came out in 1988 from Curse of the Queerwolf. Iain.
Curse of the Queerwolf, man.
Honey, you want to use potatoes or stuffing?
Stuffing!
I thought you'd go for the potatoes.
Curse of the Queerwolf came out in 1988 from writer, director, editor, actor Mark Pirro, who sort of has a bizarre legacy in horror movie filmmaking. In 1983, he pretty much made a new record in Hollywood for producing the lowest budget movie that would go on to gross millions at the box office and on sort of VHS videotape sales. That film was a Polish vampire in Burbank, which is as bizarre as it looks. It's basically about a virgin vampire who has yet to claim his first victim and is sort of being shown the ropes, if you will.
Right.
Mark Pirro was originally a sort of tour guide for Universal Studios, and along with a bunch of other friends that he worked with, decided he was going to get into the movie making field.
Yeah.
And so after the success of Polish Vampire in Burbank, his next big feature is The Curse of the Queerwolf. Believe it or not, a queerwolf actually had a small appearance in A Polish Vampire in Burbank, which is what got some of the most laughs from that film, which gave Mark Pirro the idea of taking that concept and creating an entire theatrical film around this bizarre concept. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for Curse of the Queerwolf?
Okay. Right. We follow Larry Smallbutt.
What?
Larry Smallbutt. And his friend, Dick Cheese.
What?
Two friends who are constantly going to strip clubs and seedy bars to pick up women.
So, either of you two ladies want to get laid?
Larry already has a girlfriend called Lois, and he really wants to settle down with her, but his best friend is constantly getting him to come out and pick up girls, basically being Dick Cheese's wingman. They pick up two girls from a bar, and Dick takes them back to his apartment. He takes one girl into one room, and Larry is left with this other girl. And Larry starts to realize that this girl isn't all what she seems. The girl bites Larry on the ass and then escapes before a group or posse of men try to stake her in the anus with a silver dildo. Larry tries to hide the fact that he had this close encounter with this girl, but as the full moon starts to come out, Larry's stiff wrist starts to go limp.
I'm a man. I am what I am, which is a man. Manliest of men, yeah. I spell a M. A.
I was very surprised when Gary said, "Hey man, we've been requested to do this film, Curse of the Queerwolf." And I was like, what the flaming Molotov cocktail? Who came up with this idea? I literally walked into this with a thought like I was stepping into maybe Brokeback Mountain. Yeah, I don't mean to offend anybody who obviously plays for that other side. I have loads of gay friends. I love lesbians. But I was very surprised by this movie. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's very low budget. I mean, you've got low budget, and then you've got low budget, and this kind of falls down there in the extreme. It reminds me a lot of The Dead Next Door, you know, with its kind of
very campy sort of wooden actors, fake sets, and just very poor sort of filming equipment.
Yeah.
And it is to be said, this film was made on a budget of like less than $3,000 or something like that. Originally, they intended to shoot this in 6 weeks.
Right.
And of course, most of the actors that were used in the film are recurring sort of actors or friends of Mark Pirro from his sort of earlier sort of filmmaking attempts. And because of the success of Polish Vampire in Burbank, another studio actually, whilst they were making Curse of the Queerwolf, came to Mark Pirro and said, "Stop production. We might actually want to finance your film,
right,
and give you the money to actually turn this into a bigger budget production." So all the filming was suspended, and this project turned into a 6-week shooting timetable to a 6-month shooting timetable.
Wow.
Because the studio eventually decided they're not going to finance the film. So that kind of almost killed production on Curse immediately, because a lot of these actors weren't really being paid.
No.
And sort of the equipment is on borrowed time. And so it was, the fact that this film even got made on its no budget whatsoever is just awesome.
Yeah, you could just see that the director had an idea and just wanted to see it to the end. And we've talked about this with independent filmmakers before, that, they have this idea, they want it on film, and they will go through hell and high water to get the film out. And we had never heard of this film before, and obviously probably because of release and advertisement, people just look at the film and go, I'm not going to touch that one.
I'll admit, as soon as I looked at the cover for the film, I was just like, really? Is it going to be like Pink Flamingos, or I don't know? Is it just going to be really trashy, ultra offensive sort of? Your mind races when you see a film that's called glorifying queerwolves, if you will,
or dickenthropes,
or dickenthropes.
Dickenthropes.
A dickenthrope.
A what in throat?
Dickenthrope.
A queerwolf.
He was once my son, till he was bitten by one of them.
But as the film starts, I mean, we have the opening where you have this woman running around in lingerie being chased by this 4-man posse, and they corner her, and then I was unsure what they were doing when it looked like they were staking her, and I'm like, okay, I'm confused already, because I thought it was a queerwolf, or a werewolf, but it looks like you're staking her like a vampire. We then skip a night earlier, and we then follow Larry and Dick Cheese, which I thought was just such a freaking awesome name. The guy playing Dick Cheese, can't act really, but he pulled his character off amazingly. This guy, Dick Cheese, just wants to fuck everything.
Alrighty, it's showtime, my good man. Now, come on now, we're gonna find us some poontang here. Oh, I got an aisle of puzzle right over there.
As the film went on, Kent Butler, who plays Richard Cheese, he became my favourite character of the film.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, he was so seedy and so horrible, but he was so cartoonish that he was just enjoyable to watch, because you're just like, how is this guy, this sleazy guy, getting all these women?
Yeah, he's just picking up women.
Call me irresponsible, call me unreliable, call me undigestible too.
Bottoms up. Another?
Well, interestingly, the main actor didn't commit entirely to the production of this film. For the first sort of 6 weeks, he was intensive, but obviously after the production of the film got broken up, the main actor decided he wasn't too sure on whether he even wanted to be a part of the film anymore.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times he'd turn up onto a 6 or 8 hour shooting timetable, work for 2 hours and leave.
Damn.
So they had to use fake champs.
Really?
So a lot of the shots you'll see just, a shirt and trousers. You don't see his head as the main actor's walking by. That's a shemp. It's a fake double.
Nice.
There was also a lot of times where you don't even see the actor and you hear his voice and you see the cuts of the other actors.
Yeah.
Just because he wasn't there on set to shoot.
I'll see you tomorrow at work.
I'm not going in.
Wanna try the potatoes?
Also, as a result of this left all of the other actors and film crew wondering what they were going to shoot for the day.
Yeah.
So director Mark Pirro decided to readjust the script and gave Dick Cheese almost 3/4 the amount of extra time that he would have had.
Yeah.
So all these scenes that were intended for Larry ended up going to Dick Cheese instead.
Oh, God.
So it kind of worked out.
Dick and Larry work in like a therapy center, and they're trying to cure people. But I was
Using extreme methods.
Oh God, I was crying. You have like this obese woman who can't stop eating cakes, and so Dick is electrocuting her, trying to stop her.
Every time she eats something nice.
Yeah. You know, there's a guy who smokes too much, so he puts a mask on him with carbon monoxide being posted in. There's an alcoholic, and they just kind of stick a funnel in his mouth that's going to give him, like, I think he said like an ounce of alcohol every 5 minutes or something. But the thing is, Dick is so useless at his job, he gets distracted by calling Larry or doing something else, and inadvertently killing the patients that he's trying to be curing. And he just kind of laughs off like, sorry.
He just kind of walks out the door and closes the door like that's somebody else's mess to clean up.
Not going? Hey, this is going to be the hottest thing since G-spots were discovered. You can't miss this.
Look, Lois and I got into a little bit of a fight this morning, and I left her really upset. So I'd rather not leave her.
I don't want to hear it. Listen, it's up to me to keep you single. Now we're going tonight. Don't wear a tie. I'm sorry about...
It's like, how are you not fired? How is no one... It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
The film parodies a lot of horror movies. I mean, the parodies don't seem to come until halfway through the movie. But if you're a horror film fanatic, you will pick these up really closely. I mean, Larry's first change,
The transformation sequence. I mean, you all know that the two of the best transformation sequences ever in werewolves is American Werewolf in London,
Yeah.
and perhaps The Howling.
Yeah.
This transformation goes up there for a totally different reason. I'd never expected this to... It was done so cheaply, yet so impressively. I loved it. It was almost... I was looking at it, I was like, it's almost shot for shot. The transformation sequence of American Werewolf in London. And I just love the sequence where the actor's there and he's got his hand up. And you see his fingernails extending and yet got red... Brilliant practical effect, and obviously they had a fake hand and they used wires and everything to push these nails through. But I love the fact that when he kicks his legs out, they're already wrapped in fishnets. The fact that earrings just appear and lipstick just appears on his mouth. It was so funny.
It was so brilliant. And the fact that the next morning he wakes up, what was it? He was in a manus, I think he called it, like a place where men get massages or what. But he wakes up, much like the guy in American Werewolf in London. He wakes up in this place, doesn't know how he got there. He's absolutely complete naked. There was a cloth over his crotch and a cloth over his ass, which I really didn't want to know why those cloths were there. But then he's walking around like, I need clothes. Have you got a lost and found? And somebody just chucks him a box of clothes. Like, yeah, take whatever you want. Yeah, the parodies continue. I mean, there's a parody of Poltergeist later on.
They're queer.
Where did she come from?
What was that? And then, like, towards the end, to cure Larry, they get a fag assist in.
It's quite simple, you see. Reverend Padumf is a exorcist.
A fag assist. a priest who's much like an exorcist but takes the gayness out of you.
Oh, what?
I love the fact that he's got all these like super like macho men photographs that he's blessing him with.
The Mr. T one, I mean,
Mr. T,
I pity the
John
fool.
Wayne.
The John Wayne necklace. Larry gets given a necklace by a gypsy woman who spots the pansy symbol.
The pansies.
And says to him, like, look, you know, the only way that you can be cured is by having a silver dildo smacked into your ass.
This will give you eternal peace.
You're kidding.
When the moon is full and yours is too, this must be placed where never was the sun to shine.
You know, and Larry's like, but I don't want to die. And she's like, yeah, but if you have a silver dildo smacked in your ass, you're going to want to fucking die. And so she gives him a necklace with John Wayne on it. Because the power of the Duke will keep the Queerwolf away on full moons. Oh my God.
And it works. This medallion actually works. There's a sequence where Larry is finally sort of dealing with the fact that he is a Queerwolf. And he takes his sort of partner to the restaurant.
No, he doesn't. The posse break into Larry's house while Larry's having sex with his wife. They realise he's not a Queerwolf, and so they invite him to dinner the very next night to apologise.
So while they're at the restaurant, like, out of nowhere, a bunch of thugs come in and stick everyone up, guns blazing, and you're like, where is this going? Where does this come from? And so he holds a gun up to Larry, and Larry's just like, you know, I'm immune to bullets. I'm immune to all damage except for silver dildos. And just to punctuate that, we get a flashback to the gypsy woman.
However, a Queerwolf cannot be killed by conventional means. Not by a club, not by a knife, not even by a gun. Not even by a gun. Not even a gun. Look, this flashback is over. What more do you want me to say?
I can't be hurt.
Okay? And so the thug shoots Larry. And of course it does no damage because the bullet just sort of grazes him or just bounces off.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I have the power of the Queerwolf. And so he's outside and he's telling everyone, you know.
Yeah.
But he drops the medallion. And he transforms in front of everybody. And it's...
Oh, man. I was in fucking stitches. I love the fact that people started to grab him to hold him down so that they could stake him. And he started biting them really hard. So now you haven't got one Queerwolf. You've got like 8
posse of pussies.
Posse of pussies. I mean, obviously, we don't want to come off seeming offensive. I mean, times have changed, and obviously, you know, you look at this film now. I mean, you wouldn't really consider him a gay or a queer. He'd be more like a transgender, a transvestite. Yeah. But obviously, being from the 80s, you know, these things were still taboo, and you know, they were just taking the mick out of it and things like that.
I never found this film offensive. I mean, I guess the film sort of pokes fun at homophobes a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does also poke fun at very camp sort of queer men.
Yeah.
If you will. But at the same time, it's nothing serious. It's not super offensive. It's sort of enjoyable whether you're straight, gay, or somewhere in the middle.
Oh, yeah. It's, you know, I mean, the opening, he's going down on his girlfriend. She's giving him a blowjob in the shower. I was just like, is this a porno? You know,
there's only like a few seconds of nudity in the entire film.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I mean, there's even that sequence where the guy's going to stick the dildo into Larry's girlfriend, and you see like the top of her butt, and then it cuts back to the actor, and he's like, oh, you know, that's a girl. And I was just like,
visually it's pretty clean,
yeah.
But what it's suggesting to you is what gets your mind racing. So the dirtier your mind is, you do the rest.
It was just, I'm just gonna go on record. It was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Like Gary said, if you're one of these people who sits there going, oh no, men and men should never do that, and women should never do that, then you're the reason why this film was made. You know, because they want to just poke fun at somebody like you. I mean, Oh my god, I almost forgot. The fucking hillbilly sequence.
The Queerbillies!
The Queerbillies!
What's your hurry, Nellie?
No hurry, just want to be on my way.
You ain't just gonna go running off here without first squealing like a two-fart, are you?
Squealing?
You know. Yeah.
These two, straight out of Deliverance, sort of hammed up times 10. But it's the fact that Larry in his dream is sort of campy, sort of skipping through the woods. And then these two Queerbillies just turn up and chase him. And not only that, they have their own theme song.
Oh god, yeah.
They have their own music. Just listen to these lyrics.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Blair, a poor little man who was bitten by a queer. Then one day he was walking by a stream and met a couple guys and they wanted to ream. Sodomy, that is. Black hole. Squealing pain. Well, the first thing you know, old Blair's on the run. He don't approve of this kind of fun. He knows where this woman is where he ought to be. 'Cause if he gets caught, he's gonna go.
But what I like as well is that they do what they did in Werewolf in London, where he wakes up from his dream.
Yeah.
And it's another, it's second dream.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to his girlfriend, who's having the same dream.
And she even says, oh, that was a cheap shot.
Yeah.
That's what I call a cheap shot.
There's some of the special effects though. There was a sequence at the end when after the restaurant has, they've escaped from the restaurants and all the Queerwolves have gone off. The father of the original Queerwolf is still looking for Larry.
He was one of my favourite sort of characters throughout the film. From his first appearance, when he stood in the middle of town with a torch that's on fire. I'm like, this isn't the medieval times anymore. I was like, why don't you get a battery-filled torch? Yet throughout the film, he's walking around with a torch. What made me piss myself laughing so hard is that when he's driving out of the town with the priest, he's got one hand on the wheel and the other hand out the window, still holding the torch.
And the fact that the priest has been bitten and says, oh, the power of God can't help me change. But then in the car, the priest turns into a nun and goes to attack the man. And you watch the car kind of drive and skid. And then it explodes, but it's the cheapest, shittiest explosive special effect ever.
But it just hits the nail on the fucking dildo that this is just so bad. It's fucking awesome.
Domino's biscuits, lox and cream cheese.
There are so many memorable moments in this film. I'm going to be laughing about this film for the rest of my life. To try and list all of my favourite moments, it's impossible. But I guess what makes me laugh the most is the running gags throughout the film.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, animals being mutilated or being killed in films, I don't like it. I think it's hilarious. He's got a dog. And he's outside, nice sunny day, suburban neighbourhood, and he's like, nice dog, stay. Dog won't stay. So dog follows him over and he's like, nice dog, stay, and he gets in his car and reverses over it.
Tells the dog to stay behind the car.
So, next day, we get a new puppy. And he's getting frustrated while he's hacking away at the kitchen.
We were not intimate.
Cut to the next day. His girlfriend's picked up yet another young puppy. And he's in the kitchen again. And he's left some food in the microwave. And he's continuing to argue with his wife until the dog gets in the microwave. and it explodes.
Damn it, honey, I don't know.
I love the fact that when he sees the gypsy woman like, I see death. Death surrounds you. Dogs. Lots of dead dogs.
Death.
My God.
Ooh, much death.
No.
Yes.
Me?
Dogs.
Oh.
Of course, I guess one of the last gags that had me laughing out loud is when the Queerwolf hunters break into his house.
Yeah.
And they decide that he's not the Queerwolf. It's the little dance that they do when they're leaving.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, it's fucking awesome.
Really? Really?
My favourite scenes are, like, Gary's just labelled off like fucking most of them. I love the scene at the beginning where Larry comes home and his girlfriend gets him to go down on her. But while he's going down on her, they use the audio from the next sequence where he's gargling water. So it sounds like he's gargling pussy at the same time. I was dying. The blowjob in the shower while he's on the phone to Dick Cheese. I couldn't believe he had a phone in the shower at first. But the way that Dick says to him, "Are you coming tonight?" And he's like, I'm coming. And Dick's like, yep, see you at 7. The first time when Larry realizes that the woman he's with is a dude, just his remarks, the way he starts screaming about he's Frenching with a dude and stuff like that, I was in tears.
Holy Jesus Christ! What was that?
It's first orgasm.
It's a fucking dude!
You say something, Lair?
I'm gonna be sick! I've been Frenching with a goddamn man!
The fact they call it a dickenthrope, the hillbillies. I love the gypsy flashback when she's explaining about the gun and the way that it breaks fourth dimensionally. She's looking at you saying, this flashback is over. Go away.
Well, that's it. I mean, Larry's character breaks the fourth wall multiple times at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, it was just brilliant. And I mean, the poltergeist piss take and the fags assist at the end. And I loved the special effect they had where he broke the gypsy's neck.
It was pretty well done, yeah.
And then the fact that the audio carries on as the credits are coming up, where the homicide detective who investigates crimes involving homosexuals arrests Larry for killing this woman, and Larry's just like, it wasn't me, and they're like, yes, but we found your fingerprint on her head, so we know it's you.
And I like the fact that he says, but it wasn't me at the time, and he says, well, you can do two sentences for both of you.
Both like,
it wasn't me. I couldn't help what I was doing. You have to believe me. I wasn't myself.
Mr. Smallbutt, this court sentences you to the state penitentiary for a term not less than 4 years.
4 years? I was another person!
Okay, 2 years apiece.
I wholeheartedly recommend Curse of the Queerwolf. And I never thought I'd ever say it. But this film is hilarious. It really is. I mean, don't take offense by it. If you're a fan of the horror genre, you're going to get all of these references to all these other movies. So much so that I promise you, once you've seen this film, you're going to fall in love with this director, Mark Pirro. And like me, you're going to want to check out his other work, including Nudist Colony of the Dead, Death Row Game Show, which includes death row inmates going onto this game show to possibly earn their freedom or die on the game show.
Nice.
Just Mark Pirro's sort of imagination and warped sense of humour is just a delight on film, whether it is super low budget or not. This film is guaranteed to make you laugh, giggle for the rest of your life. Definitely try and get a copy of Curse of the Queerwolf.
Yeah, like I said, never thought I'd ever hear myself say the words, I recommend Curse of the Queerwolf. You have to see it to believe it. You have to get through it. And if you laugh just once, you've been infected by the Dickenthrope.
Is that a banana in your pocket? Or are you just happy to see me?
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Blair, a poor little man who was bitten by a queer. Then one day he was walking by a stream and met a couple guys and they wanted to ream. Sodomy, that is. Black hole. Squealing pain. Well, the first thing you know, old Blair's on the run. He don't approve of this kind of fun. He knows where this woman is where he ought to be. 'Cause if he gets caught, he's gonna go.
I'm cured!
Ah, so what? I've been cured lots of times.